Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Marvel Plus podcast, a show where we talk the shows on Disney Plus and how they connect to the MCU. My name is Bret, aka Enigma911, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma911 every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'd love to have you in on the conversation, and you can join us if you're a subscriber over there. We are talking today, continuing Daredevil Season 1, Episode 2, named Cut Man. Obviously not a Disney Plus show. Get over it. It's on Netflix. But anyways, we're talking Daredevil. A little rewatch, recap. New for some of us. We're following off the heels of Episode 1, where we met Matt and Foggy and Karen and learned about all the shit Karen's going through in her life. But now she's, all good to go. We're seeing all the problems that Matt is going to have to deal with in this season. The Russians, the Asian lady, the Japanese gentleman, the white man who's doing other stuff, and then some big boss man. Oh, we don't know. Kingpin. We saw all the stuff there that he's going to eventually have to deal with this season, including a small boy getting taken away from his dad by the Russians to simply be taken away and traded away. Yippee. Trafficking. What a great thing to do. But Matt's going to save the day, and that is going to be our main focus of today's episode. So let's get on into it. Pretty much this episode is 3 stories kind of wrapped into one. There are a lot of cutbacks in between. I think I'm going to break this down into 2 sections. The Daredevil section and the Foggy and Karen section. Well, let's cover Foggy and Karen first, just so we're not cutting back, getting lost here and there. So essentially, Karen is still, joining the team. She's part of the lawyer paralegal team. She's being the secretary there. We see her organizing the office, cleaning it, pretty much doing what she needs to do. Foggy doesn't realize she's still in the office. He's coming in, singing around, singing awfully. Karen's getting a laugh out of it, and she'll eventually reveal that she's still in the office, and Foggy will get embarrassed. But pretty much their story this entire episode is just them bonding, and Foggy trying to help Karen get past, obviously, the emotional stuff and the problematic stuff of our previous episode. She's obviously very bothered by what happened to her. Totally understandable. She was attacked in her apartment. She had a guy die in her apartment. The blood stain won't come out of the carpet. There's a dent in her wall from where her head was smashed into it. She's gone through a lot. So Foggy is essentially here to try and ease her pain. So their whole plan is we're going to go out all night. We're going to party. We're going to bar hop. We're going to get drunk, and we're going to just forget it, not think about it, whatever. At some point, these two will get so intoxicated that they are going to go to Matt's apartment and trying to get him along. Disturbing some of the neighbors leads to a bit of a funny comedic scene. Obviously, they're unlucky with recruiting Mr. Matt Murdock to their party, but they will carry on their adventures in the fish market. One last note, I guess, for these two, this little powwow. I could see people thinking like, are these two flirting? Is this going to lead to anything? Personally, I think it's just them trying to be friendly with each other. Like, they still have to build that relationship of friendship in general if they're going to work together. So I don't want to think it's going that way. But then again, we got a whole lot of season left, so I could see it. There were a couple moments where it kind of heavily hinted at maybe a future relationship, but I'm going to, at least for right now, I'm going to lean towards no, they're just teasing each other a lot. It's a building friendship. They're building trust with each other, going from there. Maybe I'll eat those words later, but it doesn't matter because we're going over to the other story and we're following Matt. So we're going to open this episode with a young man discovering Daredevil in a dumpster, bloodied, beaten up, not doing great. This young man is going to get some assistance from a woman in his building. Turns out it's Rosario Dawson. Hey, welcome to the show. They're going to assist him up to her apartment. She is going to essentially save Matt and attempt to fix whatever is wrong with him. So we get, them bringing him up. It turns out she's a nurse who's going to help Matt out. She has stopped some bleeding, trying to really analyze what the fuck has happened to him. And she picks up her phone. She's going to call, ambulance to bring Matt to the hospital. Matt's going to stop her. Says no hospital, none of that. And he says it's time to leave. He's going to get up, trying to, leave the room, continue with his business. He's going to fall and pass out. And obviously he's not doing so great, so he needs some more help than he thinks. This is going to lead to our first flashback, and this is prior to Matt's accident that we saw in episode 1. But Matt's watching TV, he's watching that, and it's watching his dad in one of his boxing matches. Unfortunately, Dad's going to get knocked out, TKO, in whatever round that was happening there. Matt will proceed to turn off the TV and then wait for his father to return home. Matt's going to pass out, but will be woken up by his father returning home. Checks up on him. His dad's in rough shape as well, taking quite the beating in the match, and he requires some stitches. And Matt is here to help him out. So Matt's going to take a quick swig of some scotch from the blessing from his dad, and he's going to stitch up above his eye. We can kind of, as this scene is playing out, and we'll see this in the rest of the episode, but we'll kind of see the good bond that Matt and Jack have together as father and son. I actually flip that around, son and father, joking around with each other, a lot of care obviously for one another, whether it's Jack's boxing career or Matt's studies. It's just a nice building of this relationship and showing the rapport that they had with one another. So once again, Matt's going to help clean the wounds, stitch up above his eye, and they're going to have a little argument about homework, but Matt will take care of that before he goes to bed. One last thing we're going to notice or kind of get in this scene is Matt is going to see how much money his dad has made from this fight. Shockingly, it's a lot of money. We'll see a lot of hundreds flying out of that envelope. And Matt's surprised that, you win this much for losing. His dad goes into a little speech and spiel, but Matt will eventually leave, and Dad doesn't seem too proud of the way he has earned this money. Obviously, as the audience, we can kind of pick up that maybe with him losing, whether it's a betting situation, him throwing, whatever it may be, that results in the payment that he's able to bring home for his son. But it makes ends meet with his rent and going forward from there. We're going to go back over to Matt on the couch. Now he's patched up from Claire, which we'll learn her name later on, the nurse. Turns out he has some broken ribs, a possible concussion, and a puncture wound, most likely from a knife. Claire's going to make fun of his outfit, says it sucks, obviously doesn't protect him very well, and Matt will retort that it is a work in progress. Matt, in this situation, is giving no information about himself, why he was in the dumpster, why he's hurt, what his name is, what his purpose is, etc., etc. Very adamant, no hospitals, even though obviously he's in banged up shape. And then he kind of flips the conversation and the questioning over to Claire. Why didn't you call the cops? That's a normal situation for anybody. I see a dead guy in a dumpster. I'm not going to take that person to my apartment and help them out. No, I'm going to call the cops. It's going to be their problem. I did my citizen's duty, whatever it's called. So he's interested in why that was the case. She's not going to reply right now, but says, rest up, recover, and I'll check back and make sure everything is stable. And this will follow us back over to the younger Matt and going back to his accident. We see him in the hospital as the young child directly after his accident, we can presume. Still scared after waking up that he can't see. And we're seeing that obviously he's adjusting to all the noise that is now present because that has been elevated for him. Whether it's the beeping of the machine next to him, people talking, whatever is going on around him. Luckily, Jack is there to kind of protect him, calm him down, make him feel safe as he can. But this is going to lead us cutting back to current day, where Daredevil is now going to essentially have a breathing problem. He's having a lung collapse on him. He can't breathe. Claire's going to come to the rescue, luckily. Not in the most painless way. She's going to stab him in the chest with some tool that will allow the oxygen to escape and freeing his lung from collapsing. After this, great, he's feeling better, swell. We're going to get a little bit more into the questioning of what is going on, what is his deal. And he's going to reveal to Claire about the trafficking incident. The Russians had pulled the kid out of the van, taking him away from his dad. He was going after the son. He found out where the son was, attempted to make the rescue, but unfortunately the Russians had set up an ambush for him. They were expecting him. He's been kind of thorn in their side recently. So, kid was not there. He got ambushed, was able to escape barely, leading obviously to the dumpster, but leaving the trail of blood to this area. So, he knows that they're going to pursue after, which leads to, someone is here. He smells cigarettes and their shitty cologne in the building. Whoever this person is, they're going door to door, trying to get any information they can about Daredevil and his escape. They both joke back and forth. There's a lot that hasn't been exchanged information-wise to each other. We're going to flip once again, over to Kid Matt, and we're going to see that Jack is training in the boxing gym. While this is going on, we're going to see that Matt is also practicing. He's practicing his reading, practicing his braille, learning how to read that, do his alphabet, etc. While this is going on, Jack is going to be summoned off to the side and approached by some men in suits. They're talking about a big fight that he has come up. Great, Jack's all excited. This is a great opportunity for him. But unfortunately, this fight needs to be thrown. I believe it needed to be a knockout in the 5th round or so. So now we're in a tough situation. He's got a big fight, but he's got to throw, betting odds, all that jazz. Jack initially says, no, I don't want to do that. I want to move forward. Obviously, things are a little bit more sensitive now, I guess, with Matt's situation in the accident. So he wants to really make sure that his priorities are set straight, I guess, is the best way you could put it. Not that he didn't care about Matt before, but he's got more on his mind than maybe he did previously. Eventually, the guys are going to kind of talk him into it. And they kind of insult Matt a little bit too, saying that Jack has still time to, have more kids if he wants to, which I thought that was kind of a dick move. But Jack will eventually agree to kind of set Matt up for, the future. If something was to happen to him or whatever it is, put him in a good position. While this whole conversation is happening, though, Matt, with his new heightened hearing, has heard all the conversation and is kind of just realizing the shitty situation his dad is in. We're back to current day. We're dealing now with the man going door to door. Daredevil is kind of prepping himself for an altercation when this man approaches the door. He's decided to grab a kitchen knife. Apparently not the best knife, or at least to his approval. Duh, it's not used for that, as Claire will explain. Claire doesn't want a whole situation. She's got enough trouble with her hands, or on her hands, with obviously what she's had to do to recover Matt. So she calms him down, says she'll handle the situation and get the guy out of here. Guy shows up at her door, claims to be NYPD, explains the situation. Masked man, shot up a bodega, ran away. Owner was able to fight him off. Think he's come here. No information. Sorry, that sounds terrible. Gets the guy away. All right. But Daredevil's like, that's great. He didn't believe you. We're going to lead, he's going to bust out of the room, and we're going to see the other man running down the stairs, presumably on his phone, reporting into the Russians, the gang, whatever, saying what the situation is. Daredevil will proceed to grab a fire extinguisher, hang it over the balcony or the railing, and time it to release it, and dropping it on the guy's head, knocking him out from here. Now the plan is to take the body, bring it up to the roof, where we'll further question this man. So from here, we have tied up the Russian gentleman up on the roof, and now Claire's kind of getting more nervous. Obviously, she stepped in a little bit in this situation. Now she feels like she's being pulled in fully. She explains, like, if people learned, like, what is going on here, obviously, doesn't have a lot of cover for herself. Once again, Daredevil's gonna, kind of calm down the situation, but asks, why did you help? And Claire's gonna finally explain. She's gonna explain a situation where some Russians or some people had come in injured, talking about the attack from a man in a black mask. Not too shortly after, that same week, I believe, there was a young girl who came into the hospital who was attacked outside of her job. Somebody was waiting for her. And luckily, a man in a black mask had arrived and had saved her life from this situation. So hearing this story, Claire now knows, obviously, the history a little bit of this masked vigilante and respects what he is doing. He's doing the right thing. But still, she's scared. Obviously there's a lot of unknown. You're putting a lot of trust into just this entity that happened to beat up people and happened this one time to save this girl. Matt says, this is the point of doing it, is to right wrongs, stop these bad people. And you can't dive into fear. As soon as you give into fear, they've already won. So, explains that. And this is going to lead to one of our last flashbacks. We're going back to Matt. He's reading really well now, and he's kind of explaining to his dad what he's reading. Dad's very impressed, whether he's reading it or making it up all on the spot. And we get the reveal of his new boxing gear for the match. We get a couple jokes of how, like, it's red. Good thing it's red, because they'll never see how much you're bleeding. And then we get to kind of get into this heart-to-heart between Jack and Matt. And it's a common thread we saw in the first episode. Murdochs get knocked down, but we always get back up. And this kind of will motivate Jack to make this final push and to switch his own bet. He's going to call his guy, I don't know what you call that person, but he's going to switch his bet to him via knockout and explains a whole situation to this guy. As soon as he hits the mat, you cash out. You go to this place, you put the money in this location, this essentially a bank or a trust fund, put it in Matt's name, and lay low for a couple days. So, we get that. After that call, Jack's going to make one more, essentially to Matt's mom. He's going to need you more than ever after this. And he just wants to have Matt hear people cheer for him at least once. That's going to end that scene. We're going to go back to the roof. The guy's finally waking up, getting consciousness. Karen's masked up to protect her identity, and we're going to get interrogation mode. Going to get a quick jabs, trying to figure out, where the kid is. The guy's not very, obviously, willing to give up this information. This will lead to Claire providing a crucial tip of where to insert a knife into some part above his eye. Sounds very painful. A lady mentioned it was like, geez, trying to kind of give this guy a lobotomy. But so Matt's going to take advantage of this, proceed to stab the gentleman. And this will lead to him getting the information that he wants. He has an address for where the kid is located. And essentially, he's going to take the man down. And the man is going to reply, why are you even bothering doing this? Like, you save this one kid, that's great. But we're going to keep doing this. As long as there's buyers, we're going to keep selling them. And Matt's going to explain, doesn't matter. I'm doing it for obviously the people, but I'm also kind of doing it because I enjoy it. He's going to throw the guy off the roof. The guy is going to land in the same dumpster Matt was in. Does not kill him, as he will note, as Claire will ask later. And then he's going to go off and try and save the kid from there. Final flashback to Jack. Jack's prepping for his fight. He's all amped up, hearing himself getting announced, hearing the crowd reaction. Knocks out the opponent. Not going through with the bet or going through with the plan of throwing the fight, going with that. It's going to knock out the guy, making him the victor, and flipping the script from there. Matt was watching listening via television. He's all happy. He's excited. He's having a great time. Jack books it out of there. Runs to the locker room, trying to take care of his stuff as soon as he can, but kind of reminisces in the moment a little bit, hearing the Murdoch chant for himself. We're going to cut back over to Matt, who is once again waiting for his dad. Unfortunately passed out, but gets woken up by a gunshot. And unfortunately, this is going to lead to Matt rushing out of his house, discovering a little bit of, the scene of the crime with the police, and discovering his dad has been killed in the alleyway nearby. So we got one final good act from the dad before his passing. And then we're going to get the scene that everybody freaked out when this show first happened. We get the hallway scene. We get the hallway fight. We're going to get a quick pan around to kind of show the layout and the situation that we are in. We'll follow one gentleman into a room where we hear the boy is in danger, just wants to go home, just wants to see his dad. We're going to pan back out of the room over to one side room. We're going to see a poker game going on with about 6 or 7 guys in there. We're going to lead to one final pan out to another room on the opposite side of the hallway where we see another gentleman, presumably at a desk, and we hear a television show going. The camera is going to swing around, full 180. We'll eventually see Matt walking up to the situation, to the room. And then we're going to get him to whoop ass. We're going to get this interesting one continuous shot weaving almost into the room, back into the hallway, dealing with a different situation and the Russians that are around, and Matt defending himself and taking care of it. During this whole fight, we will see that Matt is struggling with his own injuries, not taking too many shots from the Russians themselves, but seeing him out of breath, kind of, hurt in this fight. Eventually, he will take care of all the goons in fashion, goes to the boy, says, you don't need to be scared anymore. I know this is a lot. I'm going to take you back to your dad. You're safe now. And he will then carry the child out of the hallway into safety, where we'll end the episode. So, episode 2, another great one in my opinion. Obviously, we had the 3 story lines. We get a little bit more of character development between Karen and Foggy, getting their relationship built up. We get to see Jack in his final sacrifice for Matt, and obviously see the healthy relationship those two had with one another while Matt was growing up, and kind of building Matt's character motivation of doing the right thing, pushing through even when things are in tough situations and you're hurt or you're knocked down, and then leading to where he is obviously now of the hero situation, and making this effort for the younger child to save him. We'll also get, obviously, Claire making her appearance here. I do not think this will be the end for her character, so I'm excited to see what more we can do with Claire's character, where she goes from here. We did earlier get a potential follow-up. Matt does mention, like, you need someplace safe to stay. Where is it? Just in case he needs to be patched up after the fight. So I assume there'll be some follow-up there, maybe to deal with injuries better or maybe protect himself better moving forward. But we will have to see where that goes. And then I guess just a closing note, the hallway scene, like I said, a lot of people were very excited and talking a lot of good things about this scene when they first saw it. I think it's still exciting watching it again now. I'm very curious. It does seem like one continuous shot, but I'm not sure logistically how that would work, cameraman moving through there. So I wonder if it is actually one shot or if it's some kind of, while they're flipping the 180 perspective, those are where they hid the cuts. I don't know if they ever did a behind the scenes for any of these episodes, but I'd be very curious to learn how they did do that, because I thought it was very well done. Followed the action very well, kept it flowing, and just unique for things, especially fight scenes where typically a lot of cuts kind of help hide things that the director or whoever doesn't want you to see. So nice to see something different, see how cool that was. So yeah, we'll have to see where this goes from here, moving on into episode 3, how the Russians maybe are going to respond a little bit more to this situation. Obviously, he seems to be focused on them. I don't know if Daredevil knows about the other branches yet of this whole kind of syndicate group or whatever. We'll have to see how that progresses. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Remember, next week we'll be talking about episode 3 of Daredevil, so make sure you guys do your homework. And then we have heard some rumors going around now of the Disney Plus shows and when they will continue or pick back up again. It seems like our good pal Moon Knight is going to be getting a trailer drop during Super Bowl weekend or that show. So I think that's going to be, as of right now with the rumors standing, that will be the first show that returns when it comes back. And then leading into, I believe, Miss Marvel and then She-Hulk. But we'll have to see. So if Moon Knight does start relatively soon, what we'll do is maybe we'll take a break at Daredevil, or maybe we'll do a little double feature. Maybe we'll do some two shows running at the same time. But we'll get there when we get there. Just a heads up for you guys so you know what to kind of plan for down the road. This has been another episode of the Marvel Plus podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011. And if you want to catch this podcast live, you go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, where it's live. You can join in the conversation if you're a subscriber over there. Let me know what you thought on the episode and what fun theories you have about what's going on about the show. But if you can't catch live, that's okay. It's posted the very next day over on YouTube at 12 noon Eastern. You can check it out over there and let me know in the comment section down below what you thought. Appreciate you guys hanging out today for episode 2. Looking forward to chatting more Daredevil with you guys, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.